In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create MKBHD's intro inside of Davinci Resolve. I know he has a new intro on his channel now, but anyways, we'll still learn something new in this video. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing is we'll create our foreground, which is the logo. So he has implemented this neumorphism design. Neumorphism was quite popular a couple of years back. So I'm going to show you how you can achieve the same look inside of Fusion. So let's start off by dragging in our background node and let's take a look at it. Now for the color, we'll just change that. And we're going to use this color 191919 and click on OK. All right, so the next thing is we're going to add a rectangle mask to this, and let's just make this shape into a square shape, and you can also round the corners like so. And the next thing we are going to do is add the top shadow, the highlight shadow, and the drop shadow. So let's do that. I'm going to copy this and paste it over, and let's connect these two together, and this will result in a merge node. Let's take a look at this merge node. And now what we'll do is in between the background and the merge, we will add a node that will be called shadow. So make sure you apply the shadow, this one, and not the drop shadow. Click on add. And now you can change few settings. So you can increase or decrease the softness and stuff like that. So first of all, let's just change the softness. I'm going to set this to 0.025. And the color will be black, as this will be our drop shadow. And I'm just going to change the position and bring it in the bottom right corner like so. And we will turn down the alpha opacity on this. So I'm going to set this to something like 0.3. And let's also, I'm going to add another background node to this, and I'm going to just connect it up with this merge. And let's take a look at this merge over here, and on the background 2 over here, I'm going to change the color and use the same color as we did before and click on OK. And on this merge 2, right click on it and click on swap inputs, and that way we can see our shape in front. So all you have to do is just change the settings over here. So I'm going to just increase the softness quite a bit. Yeah, that should be fine. And you can, change the alpha as well. So I'm going to set this to around 0.6. We might want to change this at a later point. So let's just leave it as it is for now. So that's our shadow over here, the drop shadow. Now we'll create the highlight, which will come from the top left corner. So what I'm going to do is just copy this over and paste it like so. And I'm just going to connect this with this merge over here. All right, now I'll just go to shadow over here and change the position and bring it in the top left corner. And for the shadow color, we'll just use the same background color. Let's just type that in first. And now you can just change the value on the slider over here and make it a lighter shade of that color. So let's go with this one and click on OK. And you can reduce the alpha on this as well. So we set this to 0.2. and just change the position and just play around with these settings. All right, so that should be good enough. You can, take your time with this and, be precise with the color and all that stuff. But I think that looks just fine. So here we have our neumorphism looking design over here. All right, so now we can do is we can add in our logo over here. So I'm going to drag in this Davinci Resolve logo. Of course, you can use your own logo as well, and you can also use the text as well if you wish to do so. Let me just connect this up with this merge. This will result in another merge node. Let's take a look at it. Our logo is in the foreground, which is exactly what we want. After this media in, I'm going to add a transform node to this. Click on add, and I can just scale it up and try to fit it inside this box. And I can now create an animation out of it. So let's go to the very first frame, or let's go to the 30th frame over here, and I can select this merge 2 over here, and let's reduce the scale on this, and you can see that we can just scale it down all these shapes using this merge. So let's create a keyframe on size on this. Go to the very first frame and set this to 0. So we'll have a simple animation like so. and we'll have same size animation on the transform over here. So create a keyframe at the 30th frame and go to the very first frame and set the size to 0. So now if you take a look at it, this is what we have. And now I can go to spline, select these two, then click on this icon, zoom to fit. Now I'm gonna click on this icon, select all, hit S on the keyboard, then hit the T key on the keyboard to get the ease in and ease out values. Just ease it into 100. And let's take a look at it. Yeah, that is exactly what we want. All right, so now what we can do is create our background. So let's just group this all together, Command G to group it, and we can rename this to FG for foreground. Now to create the background, we will use the S ellipse node, click on add. And if you drag it to the viewer, you won't be able to see it. And that's because it requires a S render node as well. Click on add, and you can just drag the S render node. And now what we can do is we can change the width and the height. So I'm going to link these two properties. So I'm going to right click on width, click on expression, and link it up with the height. Just drag it and drop it on the heights. And now you can use the height slider to control both width and the height. So I'm going to set the width to a really small value. So let's go for 0.003, and let's real quick right click in the viewer, go to options and disable checker underlay so that we can see it properly. And in between the S ellipse and S render, we are going to add another node, which will be S grid. Click on add. And this will create copies of this S ellipse node. So what we're going to do is we'll just change the S offset. We will change the Y offset as well. And we'll just increase the grid cells on both X and Y. So let's set the X to something like 40 and see if that fits in. And on the Y, we'll just change that to 40, and I think that is looking pretty fine. So now what we can do is we have the grids over here and we want to have the wavy animation on this. And to achieve that, after this S render node, we will use the Displace node. Search for Displace and click on add. And if you take a look at it, and you can see that nothing really happens. Even if you change some sliders, nothing will happen. And that is because Displace node requires an input, and that is fast noise. So if you just drag that in, you can see that something is happening in your scene. So let's split the view over here and let's take a look at the fast noise on the left and our grid on the right. So whatever changes you make to the fast noise, it will be applied to your grid. So for example, we can change the detail amount, we can change the contrast, right? So maybe brightness, right? We can change the scale as well. And we have some weird looking grid over here. But if you want to animate it, you can see that right now there is no animation. You just have to increase the seed rate a little bit. So now if you play it, we'll have some animation going on. If you want it to be more fast, you just increase this value and it will be a faster animation. Let me just reduce this a little bit and I'll just change the detail amount and take a look at it again. Yeah, so I think that looks fine. I'm happy with this animation. All right, the next thing we'll do is drag in our background and connect it up with this Displace. If you take a look at this merge 5, this is how it is going to look. And let's right click on it and click on swap inputs so we can see the grid over here. And on this background 3, I can reduce the alpha all the way down to 0. And you can also go to options and enable the checker underlay. So we can see that it is transparent over here. And what I can do is, if you have seen his intro, the older intro, then it's not, you cannot see all the dots in his animation. There is some discontinuation in the background. All right, I'm struggling to find that word, but it's not like, you know, seamless like as you're seeing right now. So for that, we can just simply drag this fast noise and connect it up on this merge 5 as an input mask. And right off the bat, you can see that we have this cool looking animation and you have these dots fading out. And that's exactly what we are looking for. All right, so once you have that, then I think that's it. That's how you can create the background. So you can group this and call this BG for background. Click on OK, and you can connect these two together. Take a look at this merge 6, and there is our foreground. You can right click on it and click on swap inputs, and as you can see that the background is coming in as a foreground. So let's just again right click on it and click on swap inputs. Now the background will be coming in as a background, but you can see that our dotted background is not visible. So that's because we need to change some settings. So the first one is we go to the foreground over here, and we have this background 2 at the end. So we'll just make sure that it is transparent. All right, so set all the values to 0 over here, and you can just close out of this. And now on this background group, double click on it, and over here in this background, we'll just make sure that the color is set to our shape color, which is 191919, and click on OK. And just make sure the alpha is all the way up to 1, and that should be it. And you can just take a look at this merge 6. This is your animation. All right, so one more thing I noticed in his intro is that there is a little bit of transparency in the shape. So you can go to merge 6 and you can reduce the alpha gain a little bit, so we can see some dots through the shape. And after this merge 6, we will add a little bit of grain to this. Click on add and set the power to 1. And we can finally connect this grain with the media out and take a look at it. This is how it is going to look. So that's it. That's how you can create a MKBHD style intro inside of Davinci Resolve. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something new. If you did, then please make sure you like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.